Hello, and welcome to Under 1000. My name's Thomas Flower, and each episode I'll read you a new piece of flash fiction. All of the stories are 1,000 words or less. Today, I'll be reading A Vision in the Isles. Please be aware that this episode deals with themes of death. So if that's likely to upset you, or anyone you're listening with, then you might want to skip this one. Jenny pushed her trolley down the aisle. Bread, eggs, maybe a pack of biscuits? She mulled a list over in her head, grabbing items dispassionately from the shelves as she passed. What could she make for dinner this evening? She had those leftover potatoes and... Suddenly, there she was, for a brief moment, turning the corner into the fruit and veg aisle. Jenny was shocked and delighted all at once. Lisa? Here? She ran forward for a moment, the flimsy wheels of her trolley screeching in protest at the exertion. Jenny paid them no attention. She just wanted to see if it really was her again, if only for a moment. Surely it couldn't be Lisa, could it? She rushed to turn the corner and almost ran straight into the woman who was now picking lemons from a pile. It was not Lisa. The woman turned to look, confused and slightly annoyed to have been almost run into. Jenny apologized and tried to walk by as calmly as she could. Pausing for a moment, she abandoned her shopping and fled to her car. It was only once the doors were shut and she was sure that no one was around that she allowed the tears to fall. What on earth had possessed her? Lisa was gone. How could she still be flying off into flights of fantasy like this all these years later? It had been 5 years since the crash. She thought she'd moved on. Why was she still imagining that she'd turn the corner and see her wife somehow magically resurrected and brought back to her? Jenny cursed and blamed herself, angry tears now streaming down her face. She'd thought she was over this. She should be over this. Why wasn't she over this? Hey, I'm sorry. I don't mean to intrude, but is everything okay? A tap came on the window, startling Jenny out of her thoughts. The muffled voice continued. It's none of my business, I know. I just wanted to offer you some help if there's something wrong. Jenny paused, unsure for a moment how best to respond. Shame and embarrassment gripped her suddenly, but she rolled down the window anyway to reply. As she wiped the tears from her eyes, she could see clearly for the first time that the stranger was the woman she had followed in the supermarket. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. Nothing's wrong, I just had a weird moment in there. Because of me? Kinda, yeah. But not really because of you exactly. I just mistook you for someone, that's all. Oh, the woman replied quietly, casting her eyes down, unsure how best to respond. Look, don't worry, you haven't done anything. It's just something going on with me, I promise. You don't need to worry, Jenny blurted out suddenly, desperate now to reassure this stranger. The woman looked away, staring into the distance for a moment, before she quietly asked, Who did you think I was? Jenny paused, trying to clear her head. Would it be right to tell the truth? She scoured her brain for something to say, but found it impossible to construct a lie convincing enough. My wife. She died a few years ago. Oh, the woman said again. I'm sorry. Jenny sat awkwardly for a moment. She wondered if she should tell this woman everything that she'd been through. About the crash, about how they'd never found her body, about how she'd spent so long believing and wishing and praying and hoping that Lisa might have made it out alive somehow. about the months she'd spent seeing her around every other corner, convinced that she was still out there to be discovered, about the therapy she'd had to put herself through, and the difficulty of finally coming to terms with it all, about the pain, about the grief, about the cruel and never-ending hope. Instead, she took a deep breath, settled herself, and turned to face the woman once again. "Thank you for this. It was kind of you to be so concerned. I promise I'm fine now. Just had a moment, you know? I'm going to try to go back in there and not feel too embarrassed. You want to come with me?" "No, that's okay. I'd only nipped in for a few things anyway," came the casual response. "I really do hope you're okay, though." I'm fine. I absolutely promise you." As she walked back to the store, Jenny wondered whether that promise was really true or not. Was she fine? She'd thought for so long now that she was. It had been a long and difficult process to truly accept Lisa's death, and to give herself the closure she needed, but it was one she had thought she had been through and come out the other side of. Now, though, it seemed like things weren't fine at all. Old thoughts were resurfacing, bubbling back to the top of her mind in a way which distressed and concerned her. She grabbed what she needed quickly and impulsively, keen to be out of the shop again soon. As she was bagging up her groceries and preparing to leave, she finally let herself truly admit it. Things weren't fine. She wasn't over it. It was going to take some more work again, to get through these old feelings. But Jenny had done it before, and she knew she could do it again. Although she'd always loved Lisa dearly, she had a life to be moving on with now, and she couldn't return to those painful, frantic days of wishful thinking and desperate hope. Sighing, she picked up her bags and moved on, vowing to do her shopping at another supermarket for at least a few weeks. Thank you for listening to Under 1000. I'm your host, Thomas Flower. To follow the show online, look for Under 1000 Pod on Twitter or Facebook. If you'd like to support the show on Patreon, go to patreon.com/under1000pod, where you can sign up to read each month's stories in advance, as well as to have a thank you be read during these credits. The theme music is an instrumental version of In Between Days by Nick Tate and the Sharks. To hear the full song and more from the same EP, go to Nick Tate, NICTATE, and thesharks.bandcamp.com, or search for them on your favourite streaming platform. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and that you'll join me again next time for some more super short fiction.